Russian commander issues horror order as Putin troops seize child hostages. As fighting intensifies in the province, Russian soldiers were filmed by a Ukrainian drone as they entered Shandryholove village. A Russian commander was intercepted issuing brutal instructions to his troops as they entered a settlement in Donetsk. Putin's army is engaged in fierce fighting in the eastern province as it desperately tries to force a breakthrough on the front lines. Russian troops are currently engaged in major offensive to capture Pokrovsk, a key logistical hub for Ukraine's military. Despite formally annexing the province after a sham referendum in 2022, Putin's army has still failed to secure full control of the region. As fighting intensifies in the province, Russian soldiers were filmed by a Ukrainian drone as they entered Shandryholove village. Ukrainian forces were able to eavesdrop on radio messages between the commander and his soldiers. The senior officer, who has a call sign Bali, issues a chilling order to his troops as they prepare to enter the settlement. Get ready immediately, that you will have to kill people. Kill everyone indiscriminately, he barked. Everyone indiscriminately, except children. The commander planned to spare the children so they could serve as human shields to protect his forces. His troops are filmed carrying out his instructions to the letter as they enter one house and shoot the parents. They then grab their younger daughter and force her to go with them. Ukraine's 3rd Army Corps says Russian forces are now using the girl as cover for their military advance towards Lyman. They say they cannot fire on Russian positions while the child remains in their custody. Most of the village had been evacuated, and it remains unclear why the family decided to remain. Both the 3rd Army Corps and Ukraine's Security Service (SBU) stress that early evacuation from combat areas remains the most effective protection against such attacks by Russian forces. Meanwhile, Ukrainian partisans wreak havoc on the Russian rear. Ukrainian partisan networks have stepped up high-impact sabotage deep inside Russian-controlled territory, striking command posts, depots, and elite units with ruthless precision, using car bombs, explosions, and arson. These Ukrainian agents eliminated key Russian generals and wreaked havoc on Russia's most elite, recently redeployed airborne forces. In their biggest strike, Ukrainian saboteurs set dry grass ablaze beside the headquarters of Russia's 35th Combined Arms Army. The fire and smoke quickly spread to the Russian base, filling shelters and trapping over a dozen staff officers. The operation combined creativity and tight coordination as local informants mapped Russian bunkers, timing the ignition well and withdrawing before the blaze spread so they could not be caught. Thus, the 35th Russian Army lost at least 18 of its most high-ranking officers, including 4 colonels, 6 majors, 4 captains, and 3 lieutenants responsible for the Zaporizhia offensive. In another operation, a Russian military van tied to the Chechen Akhmat unit outside Melitopol was rigged with explosives by Ukrainian partisans, after which they observed the scene from a distance. Once the enemy soldiers got it, the bomb was blown up remotely, and the partisans captured everything on video, which was later published by the Ukrainian Main Directorate of Intelligence. The blast killed 5 of Kadyrov's elite special forces, damaged an electronic warfare node, and wounded several other Russian soldiers nearby.
Опа, осколки сюда.
Another video from Melitopol shows how Ukrainian partisans awaited in ambush a group of Russian Marines arriving at a local ammunition depot, likely to pick up new ammunition. However, once they arrived, Ukrainians detonated an explosive, killing at least 6 enemy soldiers, destroying the ammunition stockpile and the Russian FPV drone assembly base that it was connected to. These sabotages come considering Russia's recent rush of elite formations to the Zaporizhia region, with airborne and naval units being redeployed from other sectors of the front line, preparing for a potential new offensive. It will most likely support the existing Russian effort west of Velika Novosilica, aiming to pin down the well-fortified Ukrainian defense lines in Zaporizhia, while another grouping operationally outflanks them from the east. To prevent such a possibility, the Ukrainian intelligence is risking an exposure of its underground networks by not only using them to gather information, but also for direct actions. Melitopol has become a focal point of Ukrainian partisan activity, hosting an active underground campaign deep in the enemy's logistical heartland in the south, and it is important to understand that such missions depend on dense local networks. Many partisans are residents who shelter military and intelligence operatives, provide reconnaissance, and track enemy movements, while others are specialist insurgent teams from Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, operating roughly 100 kilometers from front lines. These cells rely on local shelter and resupply while feeding exact coordinates to Ukrainian long-range drone and missile crews, enabling surgical strikes that multiply a small partisan's team's effect. The strategic consequences of Ukrainian guerrilla warfare go beyond battlefield fatalities. Removing senior staff officers and destroying coordination hubs erodes command continuity, forces rushed personnel reshuffles, and delays operational planning. That loss of key personnel makes coordinated offensives riskier and slower, benefiting Ukrainian operations on the front line. Ukrainian partisan actions also reshape Russian operational plans, with Russian reinforcements and supply convoys becoming high-value targets, and Russian commanders forced to divert additional resources to rear area security. That dynamic complements Ukraine's conventional posture. While regular forces hold or counterattack at the line, partisans and intelligence teams strike at depth to blunt future offensives. Overall, Ukraine has turned rear areas under Russian control into a contested battle space, where small partisan cells inflict outsized damage. The headquarters fire and the ambushes are not isolated incidents, but elements of a campaign to preempt Russian buildup, dismantle logistics, and decapitate command echelons before offensives start. For Russian commanders, the warning is clear. Territorial control is hollow without secure rear areas. Behind enemy lines, activity is now a persistent force multiplier for Ukraine, and Russia can continue to send troops, but without secure supply lines and without local trust, its numerical advantage will be steadily eroded.
Thank you.